So how many Cybertrucks do you think Tesla will sell over its lifetime in total? Well, believe it or not, there are some people who are still very skeptical, despite the Cybertruck having a record reservations with over 2 million people ready to buy. So we're going to show you a video clip today with Jim Cramer from CNBC saying he only thinks Tesla will sell 50,000 in total. The Cybertruck handover event is coming by November 30th, and Elon shared more juicy details. So today we've got Sat joining us. He's actually a very long-term investor in Tesla. He's been attending every single investor event for Tesla shareholder event since what, I think 2010, right? So thank you so much, Sat. Sat, appreciate you joining me.
Thanks for having me, Herbert.
All right, so let's get started with the Cybertruck. There was some new news about it, and let's listen to, first of all, Jim Cramer talking about it. So this is his kind of a perspective of the Cybertruck. Then we'll share more about what Elon said.
Posit something to you. You know, there was a lot of people. There was a twin blow against Ford. There was obviously the union. People didn't like the quarter. But then there was also this Tesla, this Cybertruck. $100,000 for a Cybertruck. That I have a Maverick, okay? Apparently this does not have the payload of a Maverick, which fits in a small parking spot on any urban street in this country. I checked, and the durability of the metal is not there. I wonder whether this man can sell even 50,000 of the 200,000 Cybertrucks, and this may be Ford's era after all of the Sturm and Drang about Sean Fain and how he took it to farming.
I will say with this regard to the Cybertruck, and we should see the first ones delivered at the end of this month. At least that's the plan from Tesla at this point. It's going to be a slow ramp up in production. They're not even going to get up to where they would consider full production until well into 2025. And I also think you should keep this in mind, given the price point, given the design, given the capability of the vehicle and what it's designed for. It's going for the urban market, particularly those urban markets that are into electric vehicles. Southern California, Oregon, Washington, the coasts. You're not going to see the Cybertruck in big numbers in Kansas City, St. Louis. I mean, it's just not going to sell there. Will there be some? Yes, eventually there will be some. But I do not look at this as one, Sarah, that is a vehicle that people are going to say, well, I'm not driving the Chevy Silverado or F-150 anymore. I'm driving the Cybertruck. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, as a threat there. And in the meantime, it faces enormous challenges, according to Elon Musk, in getting off the production line. Yeah. Phil, thank you. Phil LeBeau.
Okay, so those three people think that it's not going to impact the Ford or Chevy, and they think it's not going to sell more than 50,000, or certainly not going to sell as much as we Tesla investors think. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's just really short-term thinking. If you're talking about the next couple of months, of course, you're not going to see anything. I think it's very easy to say that at this point because you don't see any numbers. But to say 50K only, I think it's kind of short-sighted. Rivian is on track for 50,000 for this year. So, and I believe the Cybertruck is a better product to some degree, but it's also very iconic, the design. So. And with that many millions of pre-order already in there, I don't see why they wouldn't sell. So I'm kind of confused on what his premise is.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com. Yeah. Okay. Well, they just have a negative opinion about Cybertruck. Still don't get it, but yeah.
But Rivian is literally on track for 50,000 sales. So to say that Tesla can't sell 50,000, which would be a tiny portion of what they even predicted or even plan to produce, I think it's ludicrous. And Rivian is still trying to get their cost structure in place. So to say that Tesla can't do it when they're the #1 seller in EVs, and then Rivian's on track to already doing it, that makes absolutely no sense. So it's just, you have to look at the truck industry. I don't see that's not happening. It's already happening. So if Rivian can do it, why can't Tesla do it? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I think he's just very much taking the side of the legacy OEMs. You don't see the impact of the numbers either because the Model S numbers didn't really see the traction difference between the luxury market from the BMW and Mercedes until a few years in, and it was very staggering, in double-digit difference every year. So you don't see that until a few years later, a couple of years later, when its volume production is reached. But that doesn't mean that the customers aren't already changing or looking at different options when they see the new product. That's not the question of like if it's going to happen. It is going to happen. It's just that if he wants to talk about the next 3 months, of course it's not. So I think it's very short-sighted in the way that they talk. That's the way I interpret these short interviews that they do.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Inverse Kramer is going to show up eventually. We'll play that clip again in a year or two. So let's listen to all the juicy details that Elon did drop at the Joe Rogan interview. I'm just going to play a 1 minute clip, and then we'll go through all the things he did actually say about the Cybertruck.
The Cybertruck weigh?
It's a configuration, but it's about 7,000 pounds.
Whoa.
There's different versions, but 7,000 pounds. Like, it's a heavy truck.
Like a Ford F-250 or something like that.
Yeah.
0 to 60 is pretty bizarre, right? It's like 3.5 or something like that.
We're aiming to get the 0 to 60 below 3 seconds.
Below 3.
Yes.
Wow.
For the beast mode version. So we've got a beast mode version. Well, I don't want to give it all away right now, but there are 3 demonstrations. One of them people are aware of, which is emptying a Tommy gun into the side of the car, a shotgun, 45 and a 9mm, and no penetrations.
Wow.
Comes that way from the factory.
Can I try it with an arrow?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
You think so?
Maybe I'll drive back with an arrow sticking out of my car.
I bet.
Okay, let me pause it there for a second. So there's a lot of information he shared. This guy here from a person named Val said, nicely put down all the lists, so I'm just going to use this list here. So first, the big one that I did not capture in that clip was he did say we're aiming to be making about 200,000 a year at volume production, maybe a little bit more. So Sad, wasn't this a little bit lower than what he might have mentioned in an earlier call where I thought he said 250,000 a year? What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think it was originally 250 when he initially said certain announcements about Cybertruck and the initial production. But I also, if it wasn't, maybe at the shareholder meeting, it was the first half of the year, and that was before he was seeing it as the economic climate has changed, another war, another interest rate hike. So after that, I think he changed to lower it, and in the actual official Q3 press release, it said 125,000. So I think depending on the economic situation and climate, you have to adapt to that. So his initial thing was 250. He went, the official Tesla press release said 125, and now he's back to 200. So I think you have to adjust between what he's saying in terms of what context that he's saying it in the economic climate. It kind of makes a difference when you're paying 5% on a loan versus 8%. So I think he's not necessarily retracting, but I think he's actually upping it because he was very much more negative during the Q3 earnings call. So I think it's just around the right place, but I also think it's kind of still under. It was kind of like that way with the Model Y. It's just, it didn't seem like initial numbers were like that huge, but he would predict it to be eventually the best-selling vehicle. It outclassed the Model 3 or any other vehicles in the globe, and that came true this year. So I don't think he's that off in that sense.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you there. So the next 2 points that he did mention is a couple of points here. So it depends on configuration, but 7,000 pounds, 6 depending on the version, 6 to 7,000 pounds. And then we're aiming to get this 0-60 below 3 seconds for the beast mode version. What's your thoughts on these stats?
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, most of the performance versions of the Teslas are overkill for most people. But people who love the adrenaline, who love that acceleration, I definitely do on my Model 3 performance. It never gets old. So I think it's going to be a really great seller. And there's a reason why that vehicle needs that performance, because it permeates to everything else it does, not necessarily just acceleration. So the fact that they're aiming for that, that's probably the reason why they're doing a lot of testing and they're going through the trials for that vehicle.
Yeah. So this next point here, I think I'm really excited for. He says, I don't want to give it all away right now, but there are 3 demonstrations. One of them people are aware of already, which is the emptying the gun into the side of the car, a shotgun, 45 and a 9mm, no penetrations. And I'm assuming that was one of them, okay, is the cars being shot. But what are the other two? Right. So I'm assuming one of them might be the safety demonstration where we saw the car being about to hit the truck, about to hit the wall. What do you think about the third one? Any guesses on what that might be?
Well, there's a couple things. I think it could be like I saw a video of the Cybertruck kind of doing crab walk, doing side things. So I think it'll be some kind of feature on that vehicle. Or it could be another demonstration of like maybe the accessory stuff that they had initially talked about. So there has to be a component that they haven't shown that they're going to demonstrate at that event. So I think it's going to be some kind of accessory related stuff that we haven't seen, or a feature that of the Cybertruck's functionality that we haven't quite seen or wasn't highlighted as much. So there's quite a bit of attention for the Cybertruck. I think more so than any of the other vehicles. So I think a lot of the features is probably speculated. It's probably going to be one of them, but I think it's, the utility of the vehicle is what they're going to demonstrate.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be more than just the crab walk, more than just the ability to float and be like a boat, more than the bulletproof. There's going to be more. Just because if you're hearing from Larry Ellison from Oracle, other kind of comments that people know more, that they're saying this is going to be the most technology advanced truck or vehicle ever. So I'm curious. Here's a video that I saw that was kind of cool. Just shows you the dimensions of the truck in a small house sitting outside. And I know that it's short already. Some people think that it was designed to be shorter so that it can actually fit inside a normal garage. And some people are saying, well, I would have preferred it if it was, much bigger trunk and much bigger back cab. What was your thinking when you saw this this video?
Well, I mean, it's Elon had made sure that it would fit in the garage. It may take up more than one spot, technically speaking, but it should fit in a garage. That's the whole point of the initial design. So it just looks bigger than it is because the way it's designed, but it's not as bigger than the other trucks basically that fit in a garage. But the way it's designed, it makes it look that way. It's kind of like the design when you go inside the interior of a vehicle and it feels larger than it is. That's called really great designing. So this vehicle, the Cybertruck, is going to look amazing wherever you go. It already is iconic. So, and the thing is, like, I don't think they should put an emblem of the Tesla. At least I haven't seen one. I don't think they need it because it's so iconic. So
exactly
that's the epitome of design that you don't need to put a signature. And this is kind of akin to something I learned in art history, is that the Spanish painter Goya, he's a super famous Spanish painter. He didn't sign his name on the painting. He painted a piece of paper on the painting as if it's tacked onto it, because that's how good he was. And I think great design is like this Cybertruck, where you don't have to see the name of the vehicle on it to know what it is. And that's the epitome of design. Like, nobody has to see a name and they know exactly what it is. So I think that's why Tesla is doing something really, really different, paradigm shift in terms of the designing of this vehicle. And not just the exterior, but everything that goes underneath it, and making this vehicle, the plates being very rectangular. It goes so deep in this design that it's so simplified, and people don't understand how much work they have to put in to make it this simple and so iconic. And it breaks every mold that you could possibly think of. And it took even the Tesla people and Tesla community to like kind of accept it in the very beginning. We were all taken aback when you first saw it. Now we got used to it. It's like we can't see it any other way now. So it's going to blow away the notion of what trucks are, and it's going to carve out a completely new image of what designing a vehicle should be.
Okay, so just finish off the things he did say at the Joe Rogan interview. He said you could optionally do bulletproof glass, but it is too thick for it to roll down, so they didn't have that made that bulletproof. And then he said the bottom of the Cybertruck is completely flat and has the best clear height of any vehicle, talking about the differential in most trucks, and you can't take it off-roading. So lots of really features. He said that he doesn't want to give it away. So yeah, just, the features, there's going to be other things that hopefully will be exciting. I don't want to, bring myself up too much about what to expect, but even just what they already shared now is already mind-blowing. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, bulletproof glass, bulletproof, and so forth. And clear height. It can go up so high. It's amazing how far it has. The 48-volt battery volt charging system. So what's your expectations? So November 30th is going to come. They're going to do a handover event. Many people think that there's a halo effect. So when people start seeing the trucks, they're going to be more interested in buying Teslas in general. There was a good stat that Steve Mark Ryan showed that even just with the Joe Rogan video clip where he was, shooting the arrow, that already made, millions and millions of views. But the interest in Tesla skyrocketed because of the interest in Cybertruck. What's your opinion about this halo effect potential?
So, I mean, other OEMs have done it for many years. Like the Corvette doesn't sell that much, average about 20,000 per year, but they have that vehicle because it gets people into the dealership. It gets attention for the brand, for the company. And the difference is that this is Cybertruck, the design already does, but they're going to plan to make hundreds of thousands of these vehicles. So I think it's just a matter of time when it hits the road and people actually can see it and sit in the space of it. They're going to be blown away with it. It's going to be a whole different thing. And that I think also people underestimate part of the production hell that they go through is a lot more hellish than the other OEMs, in my personal opinion, because they always innovate something into that platform. They're always doing something different. And even if it's something that we don't really see as big or we take for granted, even the Model 3, its HVAC system was the first of its kind, where it was bladeless. You didn't have any of that. It was redirected by two different flow of wind. So a completely new HVAC system came for the Model 3. Model Y was a gear casting part of that too. So every part of the new platform or new vehicle comes with something very big difference in the way they manufacture or create that product or design that product. And I think Cybertruck does all of them in this one vehicle. The design is different. The way they're going to manufacture is going to be different. They have to use an unboxing for it. They have a new battery architecture and 4680s for it. So they're doing everything in this one platform, basically. So they're actually innovating progressively and even more intensely each production that they make. So it's not just doing another vehicle with the same supplier, same everything. That's why Tesla is Tesla. That's why they're going to take it to a different level every time they make a new vehicle. They're not going to stop innovating on each platform. And then when that gets innovated, they bring all that innovation back to the other vehicles. So they're doing something much, much higher standard than the other OEMs. They're not just turning out vehicles with the same thing. I went to the Japan Mobility Show. I saw the BYD vehicles. They're pretty good, but they're basically using the same kind of format in the interior design as any gas car. It just is a digital, screen, but the buttons are still there. It doesn't seem like an EV. It's just another vehicle. So I think when Tesla's doing these new products, they're actually thinking about newer designs, newer innovation for each one. And we take for granted because it's such a norm in Tesla. That's why the production is much harder. And it's one of the things that one of the guys who worked on the Cybertruck that I got to speak with said. It's like, it looks simple, but they're doing something new. So it's going to be a lot harder because nobody's ever done it. So as much as people take for granted what Tesla does as an everyday thing, it's actually not everyday for anybody. So they're doing something that's very challenging. They're able to execute on it because they work really hard on it. And we see it because the other OEMs are backing off now. They're all backing off on their investments in the EVs, let alone producing it. So that's why it's scary, where they're pressing forward while the entire industry is going the other direction. That says volumes about where Tesla is at and how confident they are with their production.
So that's a fantastic point, by the way. So first of all, Cybertruck is full of new technology. They innovate, as you mentioned. And then more importantly, what you were saying is that when they put it in the Cybertruck, this technology that they've put in there is going to be used and kind of shared amongst other platforms as well. Do you have thoughts on the Cybervan? So there was a slide that they showed, I think it was shareholder day, and they showed that there's going to be a Cybertruck and there might be a van as well using the same platform. Any guesses on what that might be and when it might come out and all that?
Well, I think it's when they get the volume production in place for Cybertruck, I think they're going to announce the next vehicle. It's very obvious it's going to be one of those sections, like either it's a van, minivan, or some other segment that they said they're going to go for. that will most likely use part of that that platform. But it's going to be very obvious. Like Elon said, really, like for a few years back, that they plan to be in every vehicle segment, and they kind of have to be if they're going to meet their goal, their mission. So if all goes well, it'll just be faster. If the production ramp is a little bit slower because of the economic climate, then it may be a little bit more delayed. So, but it's a matter of time that they come up with another one. I'm pretty sure they're going to have another factory announcement by that time. So I think one of those two will come first before anything. But it's very obvious that that's going to be the next step. And I don't think people can fathom what it's going to be like when they're going to start putting into production the next design, or even announce it, and how much that's going to really galvanize a lot more attention for Tesla. I mean, we haven't even finished the Gen 3, but we know the next vehicle is going to come out because they already showed it under a blanket on a slideshow. So it's going to be obvious some kind of van is going to be there. There's a really big necessity for it, and even on just the delivery trucks. Now that everyone's ordering online, that's a bigger market that's very controlled as well. The routes is very controlled. So even Rivian's done that deal with Amazon. So it makes a lot of sense that what the van would be the next big vehicle that they would want to go into. And I think they would be, and they themselves need it. Like the Tesla mobile service people, they need it actually. So it's actually something that in-house they can utilize, just like the Semi. They need it also in-house. So there's so much need for them to do it even internally, that it would make sense that they would go into that. And I think it'll be another hit that they'll change the industry again.
Thank you so much, Sat. Appreciate you. Please follow him at SA_futurist on X. Thanks, everybody.